guys, welcome in. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Rob Kendall Show. Don't forget the website, robkendallshow.com. robkendallshow.com. We got the live feed up there, the on-demand, the podcasting links, transcripts, articles from transcripts of some of our favorite segments each day, and that support button, real prominent up there. If you like what we're doing, you want to throw a few shekels our way, robkendallshow.com. robkendallshow.com. Man, I want to thank you guys for an awesome weekend. You guys were amazing in terms of stepping up on the growing the subscriber count. By the way, we're closing in on the 2,000 number. 2,000 subscribers in 3 weeks. We're getting close. We're not quite there yet, but hopefully in the next couple days, if you guys continue to do your thing, we're going to hit that number. And man, the show is just growing by leaps and bounds. We did some quick math. More than 33,000 people now have viewed the YouTube link in just the first 3 weeks. 20 days. That's incredible. That doesn't even include the Spotify, the Apple podcast, which are also doing phenomenal. You guys, man, you have totally stepped up your game, and that is going to help all of us in the future. These numbers are incredible. The growth is incredible, and it's all of us that are going to win for this, because the better we do, the more things we'll be able to do, and the better shot we're going to have at trying to hold our elected officials accountable. You guys have been amazing. So all that being said, let's keep it up. Keep hitting that subscribe button. If you haven't, tell your friends to hit it if they haven't. Hit that thumbs up there. That helps us so much in terms of getting the word out, the way all of this works. And then obviously share the feed. Let people know where we're at, what we're doing. Rob Kendall Show each day, 10 until noon, and then on demand wherever you get your podcasts. By the way, if you're listening to us on the Apple, on the Spotify, give us that 5-star review. That really helps. Share that feed as well. The on-demand audio version of the podcast has been growing by leaps and bounds as well. You guys have been amazing. This weekend, Jason and I were looking at these numbers like, man, this is really incredible. And I've talked to several people in media in the city, people who know how this stuff works. They're like, we cannot believe the numbers you guys are pulling in. And I said, it's because of the audience. It's because of you guys. Without you, there is no us. And you guys have totally stepped up your game. All right. All of that being said, guys, I have to start our program today with a bit of some shocking news. This will probably, if you're on the highways and byways, make sure to have both hands on the wheel. If you're in an office of some sort, grab on to the nearest sturdy piece of furniture. This will come as a huge shock. I don't think our elected officials have any idea what they're doing. I don't. This next story from the Indiana Capitol Chronicle is just simply amazing on how you can just shout at these people, hey, don't do this. This is a really bad idea. Like the at the time radio guy, the podcaster guy should not know the policies better than the people that vote on them. The people who are paid $70,000 or more to vote on these things, and they only have to work 3 months out of the year. And yet we keep seeing it happen over and over and over again, which tells you the thing that we have said for years, which is these people don't read anything. They do not read. They do not comprehend. They just do what they're told to do. They are foot soldiers. Your average rank and file person in the Indiana General Assembly, Republican, they're a foot soldier. They have no idea, because understanding public policy is hard, because you got to read it, you got to understand it, and you got to understand the people that are impacted by it. So Indiana Capitol Chronicle has a new article out, and it is about Senate Bill 1, the property tax bill, which we, of course, last year said this will be horrible for a variety of different reasons. And one of the reasons that we said this is going to be a horrible bill is what it will do to local income taxes. L-I-T, local income taxes. And so your local government, the county government, has an ability to set a local income tax rate. And so the percentage of what you make, if you look at your check, based on what your county's local income tax rate is, that goes back to the county government and then is disseminated amongst the municipalities. So as part of the Senate Bill 1, the property tax bill, they started tinkering with the local income tax rate. Now, they sold it to you as, hey, look, collectively, we're lowering the local income tax rate. And that was their sales pitch. And while technically that was true, what they weren't talking about is allowing local governments, that being cities and towns, who previously had to request the permission of the county to set an income tax rate. And unless the county said yes, they couldn't do it. Now they had the ability to set their own local income tax. So if your county's local income tax rate was below a certain percentage, now the cities and towns, are you following me? The cities and towns could set an income tax rate, which they couldn't before, which meant your local income tax for many people was going to go up. And some of us raised our hands and said, yeah, this seems like it's going to be a tax increase on everyone. And as usual, they said, no, we're lowering the overall income tax rate. We said, it doesn't matter, though. If your county's income tax rate was below a certain number, and now the cities and towns can raise income taxes, the income tax for people is going to go up. And you think about, if your city and town could raise your income tax by 1%, or they do raise it by 1%, and you're making $100,000 a year, well, then your income tax is going to go up $1,000. Do you know how, which would far offset any property tax decrease you were going to receive? And they were like, nah, Kendall, he's just spouting BS. He's a fearmonger. He's just trying to get people ginned up to do what he wants. From the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, story you can all read for yourselves. We highly encourage you to do that after, of course, we get off the air at noon. Well, by the way, we're going to have to get off a little early today. Should be only a one-time thing. We'd have to wrap up just a little early today. Our landlord has some work that needs to be done in here. So they politely ask, can you wrap up a couple minutes early? So we won't quite go all the way to noon today. The state government, the same people who told us to sit down and shut up about the local income tax, have now on multiple occasions extended the year to which the income tax can be implemented. So originally supposed to be 2027. Now it has been extended to 2029. And now, in the most recent General Assembly that just wrapped up, a couple weeks ago, there was this little thing called House Bill 2010, which allows counties to establish a, quote, municipal unit strategic task force with county and municipal representatives to negotiate an agreement on how they would distribute local income taxes in the future. According to the Capitol Chronicle, those agreements will be compiled by the state's Department of Local Government Finance for a report to legislative leaders by December 1st. Why are they doing this? Because the legislature has now admitted they have to debate this again. Why? Because they had no idea what they were doing. It's all screwed up, and everybody's going to be impacted differently. Which, dun-da-da-da, was the exact thing we were screaming about last year when we said, please don't do this bill. This local income tax thing makes no sense whatsoever, and it's going to screw everybody up. Let me read you the quote from Travis Holdman. Travis Holdman was the guy who originally carried Senate Bill 1 in its original form, head of the tax policy in the Senate. Quote, we really are looking for the counties and the cities and towns to get together and come up with a plan they would recommend to us on how that, referring to the income tax, distribution needs to occur in each county because, dun-da-da-da, not all counties are alike. Because the counties are not all alike was the exact quote. They didn't even have a plan for this. They passed this major piece of sweeping legislation that would potentially raise taxes by thousands of dollars on individuals, and they didn't have a plan for it. Also, in this article, they've now acknowledged, and Holdman acknowledges here through that quote, we said some counties are already above that threshold of the max capacity that will be able to be done under the new bill. Because remember, collectively, they lowered the overall local income tax, but they allowed cities and towns to raise income tax. So counties that were under the income tax threshold, your taxes were going to go up if your city or town did this. Counties who were above the threshold, their taxes were going to go down. And people were saying, this doesn't make any sense. Where's the uniformity? Well, he's saying it right here. This is the head of the tax committee on the Senate side. We really are looking for the counties and cities and towns to get together and come up with a plan they would recommend to us. Mr. Holdman, Senator Holdman, you were supposed to have the plan. That was the purpose of the bill. That was the purpose of the legislation. They're admitting here they didn't have a plan. They didn't think it through. They didn't know. We're 2 years on now. Well, I mean, a full year. We've gone through a legislative session. They've already extended this thing out to 2029 because they know there's major flaws with it. And now they're begging the cities, counties, and towns to come together. And why don't you tell us what to do? Because we sure as hell don't know. He goes on to say, Holden goes on to say, quote, contrary to our efforts to put everybody in the same box, it just doesn't work that way. No kidding, dumbass. This is what's infuriating, is that people like me were screaming about this last year, screaming about this, saying just on this income tax piece alone, you cannot vote for this because you guys have no idea what you're doing. You're moving so many parts at the same time. You are going to affect so many layers of local government. You cannot move forward with this. And what they do, they did it anyway. And now they're admitting we had no plan. We thought it was all going to work fine. These are the people that make decisions for us. Carrie Hamilton, state rep from Indianapolis last year, I asked her on the old radio show, I said, what percentage of your colleagues read the bill, read the bill, in this case, the property tax bill? What percentage understand it? She said, maybe 10% read it. That's 15 out of 150 lawmakers. And here's the proof. The proof is right here, guys. They're admitting, we didn't have a plan. We totally screwed it up. We don't know. And think about if on major legislation, that's all the effort they're putting into it, stuff that has all sorts of attention because there was immense coverage of the property tax bill. How little effort are they putting into the quote unquote smaller stuff that also has immense ramification? Guys, let me tell you about a brand new sponsor here on the Rob Kendall Show. Her name is Lauren Wilson. Selling your home, it's a massive transition, and it can feel overwhelming. That's where Lauren Wilson comes in. Lauren Wilson believes you deserve a real estate experience that is as personal as the home you're selling. When you work with Lauren Wilson, you aren't being handed off to a different assistant every week. Lauren is your primary partner from the day you list to the day you close. Trust your home sale to someone local. Lauren is a lifelong Hoosier and military veteran, graduating from Cascade High School and raising her family in Plainfield. So Lauren doesn't just know the market, she knows the community. With Lauren Wilson, you get her direct attention backed by a professional support team that handles the paperwork so she can focus on you. If you're looking for a higher level of service here in Central Indiana, let's talk. Talk to Lauren Wilson. Lauren Wilson with At Properties. Lauren Wilson with At Properties, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Guys, speaking of people that support the show, and we talked to you guys about this, when we have these sponsors come on, even if you don't need their service in the moment, call them, contact them, let them know you heard their announcement. That is so huge for us. These local people are betting on us. They're supporting us. They need to hear from you that you'll support them when that time comes. Speaking of people who support the show, as we mentioned, there's more than just being an advertiser that you can support the show. We have that support button up at robkendallshow.com. You guys have been so generous in terms of giving to what we're doing, supporting what we're doing. It's real prominent there, robkendallshow.com, whether it's $1, $10, whatever it is. We try to read your name on the air when you give. We also try to send out a thank you note. The people who support have just been unbelievable. Over the weekend, Doug and Derek were both fabulous supporters that gave generously. And Doug sent us a note, and I asked him if I could read this, and he said yes. So I'm going to do that because it was such a kind note, and it really speaks to what we're doing here. And so I want to read this. A note from Doug before we get to our first break of the day, because this really speaks to so many of you guys, and it really it touches what we're doing here and why we're doing it. Dear Mr. Kendall and staff, please accept this donation support of your new chapter to thank you all. Unfortunately, my family lives in Du Bois County and are directly impacted by Bronze Road. Of course, he's talking about the Midstates Corridor. We live in an area between Indy, Louisville, and Evansville and have little to zero media voices. And you know, Braun and Messmer, we were talking to Messmer, the congressman down there, have also taken our voices away. But we are forever grateful that you guys looked into this corruption and blew the lid off exposing this. We are sorry that it cost you your previous position, but I believe God has opened another window for you. Your show is the best. you've taught this old man a lot about Indiana politics. I ask that, if possible, you keep this, my name other than my first name out of this. And again, I want to thank you for all you do. Prayers for God's blessing for you and yours. Now, look, I have no idea why I'm not where I was before. None, don't know either way. And it's not, they can do whatever they wanted to do. It's their company. They can do what. So I wanted to clarify that, but I wanted to read his words. And I just wanted to thank Doug and all the people who have given in support of our show. And being here, for whatever reason we are here, is where we're supposed to be. And I just can't thank you guys enough. Loved the time at the previous place. Those people were all very kind to me, but I feel like Jason and I are doing the thing that we're supposed to do now. And he's right. God put you where you're supposed to be. I feel like we're doing what we're supposed to do. And for whatever reason that may be, their decision, but it's just great that you guys have responded in the way that you have. And I can't thank you enough. And I just appreciate you guys so much. So thank you for everything. And thank you to Doug and all the people who have supported our show over at robkendallshow.com. All right. When we come back, Abdul over at the Cheat Sheet, Indy Politics, had a fascinating piece about what's going on with funding the Bears Stadium, and there appears to be a potential holdup with that on the Hammond Bears Stadium, and more drama in that Senate 38 race over in Terre Haute, that Republican primary. We've got a whole bunch of updates on that. We will get into those things and more when we come back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, you can follow along robkendallshow.com. We're also on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall, at Rob M. Kendall. And we want to just thank each one of you for being a part of this with us every single day. Thanks to producer Jason doing his usual outstanding job. Look, this guy busts his rear every single day to make this program look good for you guys, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. So we'll keep rolling, and this is what we do. Local Indiana news, politics, government, that's what our show is about, 95% of it. The national stuff we try to bring back to how it affects us here locally, and it's growing by leaps and bounds because of you guys. So Abdul had a fascinating article in his cheat sheet. So for those of you who know, Abdul does indiepolitics.org. He has the cheat sheet, which is a subscription-based service, and his subscription-based service, he couple times a month or whatever it is. Sometimes it's every week. He'll send out just I think he calls it news, gossip, and innuendo or whatever it is, just things he's hearing around the state house that he may not put over at indiepolitics.org. He had a very interesting article piece about what's going on with the Bears and the funding for the stadium. So the lawmakers created here in Indiana this Northwest Stadium Authority, which is basically in charge of putting the deal together to bring the Bears to central Indiana. It creates the hub to level the taxes, etc. However, the actual funding of the stadium has to be done through bonding. And that bonding has to go through what's called the Indiana Finance Authority. Now, you guys may remember when State Treasurer Daniel Elliott was here, it's been a couple weeks ago now with us, he talked about his seat. He has a seat on the Indiana Finance Authority. There's 5 members of that board. Elliott is one of them. He has major reservations, as he laid out to us, about approving any bonds going to the Bears Stadium. Why? Because look at what a dumpster fire financially we've seen these stadiums be in the past, including, if we're being honest with ourselves, Lucas Oil Stadium. Once you cut past the people who are like, well, there's no dollar amount you could put on what a Super Bowl means to the city of Indianapolis. Well, okay, there is to me, because I don't live in Indianapolis, although I have to pay taxes for that stadium, and we lost money on the Super Bowl. So there is. I'm a Bears fan, not a Colts fan. I'm a Colts fan by force, in the sense that I have to pay for the Colts stadium, so I cheer for them to do well to try to not lose my backside. But for people who take the emotion out of this, there are serious financial ramifications, including if you look at Lucas Oil Stadium, we still owe over $450 million, closing in on 20 years later. We still paid on the RCA Dome for 12 years after it was demolished. The actual finances, the numbers of these stadiums are not in favor of the taxpayer. So Daniel Elliott, who sits on this Indiana Finance Authority board, came out with serious reservations. As I said, it's a 5-member board. Now, according to Abdul, there was supposed to be, the Finance Authority met, and there was supposed to be the funding, some of these bonds for the Bears Stadium were supposed to be on the agenda and supposed to be discussed. However, it was on the agenda, according to Abdul. However, that agenda item got removed. According to Abdul, only 3 of the 5 members were present. I believe Elliott was one of them. You have to have 3 yes votes to move forward. 5-member board, you got to get a majority. That's 3. And since Elliott was one of the people there, according to Abdul, who's believed to be a no, certainly he, I think, led people to believe that based on the comments he made on our show a couple weeks ago. They pulled the item because only 3 members had showed up. Here's what Abdul wrote, and I thought this was pretty spot on, or pretty in the ballpark at least. Quote, talking about pulling the Bears financing off of the agenda. Quote, it's a move that tells you everything you need to know about where things stand. Major public financing proposals don't get delayed because of scheduling conflicts. They get delayed because the votes aren't there. And then when the votes aren't there, leadership has a choice. Take the hit or buy time. This week, they chose time. Yeah, I agree with this 100%. Something the magnitude of the Bears Stadium, you'd make sure you had your votes there. Oh, Fred, you're not gonna beat the Finance Authority. We got the Bears team. Yeah, I'm kind of busy. I got a softball game tonight. I can't be there. No, you're talking billions of dollars of public financing. Your people would be there. It is something that has been a top priority for the governor, clearly a top priority for the General Assembly. And while I think they would ultimately get what they want, it tells you there is still some serious pushback going on based on the fact that this agenda item was pulled because, according to Abdul, they had the 3 members there, which was enough for the meeting. So certainly drama going on. And look, it comes back to this. First of all, I think the Bears are staying in Chicago, the greater Chicagoland area, I should say, Arlington Heights. And I saw somebody post about this yesterday, and it was a media figure, and I thought, man, you just don't get it. He was talking about, well, the Bears should totally pull out of Chicago, and the Blackhawks and the Cubs and the Bulls, they should go too. You must not know much about Chicago and the fabric and how that city operates in the sports teams. In the case of the Cubs, Wrigley Field is the Cubs. Wrigley Field is the Chicago Cubs. You would probably lose half of your fan base if the Cubs pulled out of Wrigley Field, which is why the Ricketts family, who owns the Cubs, has put hundreds of millions of dollars not only into Wrigley Field, but buying up property around Wrigley Field to create the village there. Wrigley Field is arguably bigger than the franchise itself. It is a colossal, giant marketing arm, which is why the Cubs regularly draw over 2 million fans every year, no matter whether they're good or not. To simply say, and again, it's amazing to me, the Indiana media and how they don't understand why the Bears are going to such effort to stay in the greater Chicagoland area. With the Chicago sports teams, the fan base, the people who live in that area are the fabric of the franchise. They are the fan base. The Bears understand. You move that team to Hammond, sure, you're going to get some people in the greater Chicagoland area on the Indiana side who will go, who will be a part of it. But it's an island unto itself out there. There's going to be no compelling reason to go to Hammond, Indiana, other than the 8 to 12, depending on how preseason games or playoff games work, the 8 to 12 times a year that the Bears have home games. The Bears understand that. The Bears also understand that the majority of their fan base is built in the Chicagoland area on the Illinois side. The same thing for the Bulls, the same thing for the Blackhawks. I mean, you're talking just literally decades and decades of history with these teams. And so it's fascinating to me. And some people just don't understand sports, right? And they want to do hot takes on sports because they think it makes them look tough or means that they can cross over. And it comes through. This is why I've always said, and I hope as a taxpayer I'm right, the Bears are not leaving Illinois. They're leveraging, and it's a smart move on their part. It's a smart move on their part to get as much out of Indiana as they possibly can. They don't want to do that. Hallis Hall, where the Bears, where they practice, where they had their meetings, that would be a great distance from where they would be going. Like, none of it makes any sense. And I just thought that was fascinating. Well, from a pure tax perspective, wait a second. What is Indiana doing? They're just giving away money to the Bears the same way that they're proposing to do in Illinois. If you're a franchise the size of the Bears, you don't care where it comes from. And if everything is equal or even close to being equal, they're not going to gut the fabric of their fan base, the core of their fan base, which is in the greater Chicagoland area on the Illinois side. I saw that and I was just like, what is that possibly even about, or how does that even make sense? But I've always thought the Bears are leveraging the state of Indiana to get what they want from Illinois. It appears that is still going forward. You know, it's fascinating. And I was reading an article about this the other day. The fight in Illinois wasn't to keep the Bears, it was where to keep the Bears. And so the pushback, and this is really interesting, the holdup really was from, I think they're called assembly members in Illinois, members of the assembly that represent Chicago, because they didn't want the Bears leaving Chicago. And the Bears, I think, finally laid out to these people, look, we are not going to dome Soldier Field. There's nowhere else for us to go in the greater Illinois area. We've already purchased this property in Arlington Heights. The conversation is not Chicago or Arlington Heights. The conversation is Arlington Heights, or we leave and go to the state of Indiana. And I think those Chicagoland assembly members are starting to come on board with this. However, what is fascinating to me, though, is it has shown how our lawmakers will, at a moment's notice, jump when it's something that's of interest to them. Look at how fast they formed that stadium authority. Look at how fast they said, hey, yeah, let's put this together. Oh, here's all your tax incentives. Here you go. For a team that's worth something like $8 billion, I mean, that's what we're talking about with the Bears. It's essentially an $8 billion corporation, the National Football League. But when it comes to helping you, figuring out how to let you drive on roads without raising your taxes by $6.5 billion, or fixing your property taxes. I mean, look at how we opened our segment, our show today, the opening segment. They've totally screwed up this income tax thing. They've admitted they've screwed it up, and they have no idea how to get out of it now. The utility bills, they don't have time for any of that. They can't move quickly on any of that. But they can certainly lickety-split, put together a multi-billion-dollar package to bring the Bears to the state of Indiana. And I hope that's the lasting legacy of this, is our lawmakers exposing to you how little they care about you and how fast they can move when they want to, but they don't want to help you on property taxes. They don't want to help you on utility bills. They don't want to help you be able to drive on good roads without raising your taxes. They proved they can do it with the Bears, which means they don't want to do it for you. Guys, let me tell you about our friend Gary Tedrow. Before choosing a mortgage, it's smart to talk with someone you trust and can actually sit down with because he's local. That's where Gary Tedrow comes in. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage is a local lender helping buyers and homeowners across central Indiana with home purchases, refinancing, and strategies to manage debt using home equity. Gary focuses on education and guidance so you understand your options before making a decision. No pressure, just solid advice from someone like you. And that's the key, someone like you. To see what may be possible, visit loansbygary.homes. That's loansbygary.homes. You got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no obligation quote. 317-695-5179, 317-695-5179, loansbygary.homes, Gary Tedrow, NMLS, number 179207, with Verity Mortgage, NMLS, number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender. Okay, let's talk about what's going on with Senate District 38. This is the gift that keeps on giving. So just sort of a reset here. By the way, coming up, next segment, Spike Cohen is going to be with us. Had a chance to sit down over the weekend with Spike Cohen. You guys may remember him. He was the Libertarian nominee for vice president in 2020. He has started a group called You Are the Power. And basically what this group does is it allows people from all over the country to contact You Are the Power, tell him about bad government or potentially bad government that's going on in your community, and then they post publicly and come up with ways for you to be able to contact your local legislators and lobby them and reach out to them and try to educate them on why this legislation is harmful. And Spike Cohen and You Are the Power has been very influential on trying to stop the Midstates Corridor, on trying to get the word out about how horrible this project has been. And it tells you how bad it actually is. Spike Cohen's located in Myrtle Beach. That organization located in Myrtle Beach, and this Midstates Corridor, how bad it is and how the reputation of it is so bad, it got all the way to the You Are the Power people, and they have been really doing a lot of work in terms of trying to get the word out to help lawmakers be educated on the Midstates Corridor. So Spike will be with us coming up next segment to talk about the work that his group, You Are the Power, is doing to help stop the Midstates Corridor. Let's talk about Senate 38 for a second. Just a reset, just to reestablish what this is. So this is 3 counties in the western part of our state. Vigo County, which is Terre Haute, Clay County, Brazil, and Sullivan. So Sullivan, Vigo, and Clay counties. There is, Jason and I got in a big discussion the other day about, is it Brazil or Brazil? And I had a conversation with somebody who lives in Brazil, and they said you can say either one, just like Vigo County. It's one of the great unknowns. Anyway, so Greg Good is the incumbent senator there. He's up for re-election. He voted against redistricting. And by the way, guys, I know for those of you who are longtime viewers of the program, as long as you can be over 3 weeks, that we tell you the kind of the background story on this all the time. We have lots of new people coming in, both watching the show and listening via the podcast, the Apple, the Spotify. So what we're doing here, sometimes we reset things. We appreciate you staying with us. If you already know, we do need to reset it for people who are new. So Greg Good is the incumbent senator out there. He voted against redistricting. Trump, Turning Point USA, Trump allies recruited a woman named Brenda Wilson to run against him. She is a Vigo County councilwoman, and she has been endorsed by President Trump, even though he got her office wrong in his endorsement, neither here nor there. And then there is a third woman running named Alexandra Wilson. The Brenda Wilson people believe that Greg Good and his camp pulled shenanigans recruiting this woman to run to confuse the electorate, same last name. And they've challenged her candidacy, not on the fact that they have the same last name. You can do that. But they allege, and the primary person alleging this is super lawyer Jim Bopp. Jim Bopp, famous attorney here in Indiana, has tried cases in front of the Supreme Court. He is alleging, or has alleged, that Alexandra Wilson is ineligible to run because he claims she was convicted of a felony, pled guilty to a felony when she was young. Alexandra Wilson, says, no, I was charged with the felony, her attorney says. I pled guilty to a misdemeanor. BOP took this to the Indiana Election Commission. They split 2-2 on their decision, so Wilson was allowed to stay on the ballot. He challenged it in Clay County Court. A judge initially sort of sided with BOP from the standpoint, at least from a preliminary perspective, saying we cannot send out absentee ballots until this gets decided in the court system. I'm not ruling on the merits of the case, but I am saying we cannot send these ballots out. Absentee ballots cannot go out until we have a ruling on whether she can be on the ballot or not. Well, now on Friday, a new special judge, this according to the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, has taken the case, and he said, and by the way, his name, let's see, do I have it here? Bridges is his last name. I don't think I have his first name here. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the new judge said, and I believe he is from Putnam County, so they had a special judge come in. Alexandra Wilson's attorney asked for a new judge, which they're entitled to do. This is a special judge. I believe he's from Putnam County. He now has said, no, the ballots have to go out because he said delaying those ballots would violate federal law, and the county court could not prevent clerks from, quote, from fulfilling their constitutional duties regarding the mailing of absentee ballots. So basically what this judge said is, yeah, this case may not be decided yet. And by the way, they're supposed to have a hearing on Tuesday in front of this new special judge, March 24th, which is tomorrow. I think he's going to hear the merits of the case at that time and then make a ruling. He'll have to do this pretty quick. But what he said is, hey, look, we're not ruling on the merits of the case here, but the judge in Clay County can't just stop. The federal law says these ballots have to go out because there's federal races, right, on the ballot, Congress, etc. Federal law says these ballots have to go out. You can't just make it up. You can't just say they can't go out because there's a dispute in one race. So we'll deal with the merits of the case. I believe it's going to happen on Tuesday, but he has reversed that Clay County judge, and now the ballots will go out with Alexandra Wilson's name on them. Oh, it gets even better. So Brenda Wilson, are you keeping track of this? Like it's so hard. It's so interesting, but it's so hard to keep track of all these people, and I'm doing my best every time to explain it to you. So Brenda Wilson, the Trump-recruited candidate, Vigo County Councilwoman, she was married to a man by the name of Fred Wilson. Now, I believe they were both married before. I don't think they have children together. I believe were married for like 12 or 13 years. If I got any of that information wrong, somebody please correct me. That's what I've been able to put together. So Fred Wilson married Brenda Wilson, and he unfortunately passed away. I believe it was a couple of years ago. Fred Wilson has a family that is not associated with Brenda Wilson, children, etc. Greg Good came out over the weekend with the endorsement of Fred Wilson's family. Is that sinking in? So Fred Wilson was married to Brenda Wilson, the woman who is running against Greg Good for this Senate seat, who's endorsed by Trump, and Fred Wilson's family. And they're all lined up around Greg Good. He did like this 1.5-minute video from Fred Wilson's farm, is where he identified himself at. And all the family members are around him, and Greg Good says, this is Fred Wilson's family. They endorse me. Yikes. What does it say about Brenda Wilson? She's married to the guy for whatever it was, 12 or 13 years, and they're endorsing her opponent? In addition to the video, Greg Good tweeted this out. Greg Good update, March 21st, 2026. This afternoon, I was endorsed by the family of beloved farmer and friend, the late Fred Wilson. I'm grateful for this strong family and will uplift Fred's legacy by serving with integrity and fighting for our farmers and rural communities. It's not good, man, when you're married to someone for a long time and the family, who probably knows her better than anybody, went with your opponent. And they were all there. It was like they were all standing around him. It was just incredible drama. That Senate 38 race is fascinating to me for a variety of reasons, and it's sort of the gift that keeps on giving. All right, let me tell you about our friends at Vent Savvy. Let me ask you something. When you take a hot shower, does your mirror stay fogged up for 10 or 15 minutes? If it does, your bathroom fan isn't doing its job right. And that moisture, it doesn't just disappear. It's not just an inconvenience. It gets trapped in your walls, your ceiling, or even your attic. Over time, and this is where this gets important, it can mean mold, insulation damage, and expensive repairs most homeowners never see coming. You should call our friends at Vent Savvy. They specialize in upgrading bathroom exhaust fans the right way, properly sized, properly vented. Here's what you do. You go to ventsavvy.com. VENTSAVVY.com, VENTSAVVY.com, and mention our show. Say, hey, I heard you on Rob's show. John, the owner, he's going to come out to your house totally free of charge. Costs you nothing. He'll crawl up in your attic, he'll take a look around, and he's going to tell you, hey, you got some problems here, or everything's good. If everything's good, John goes on his merry way. He says, let me know if you got any issues. Thanks for calling Vent Savvy. But if you have a problem, the faster you start, the better. And that's where Vent Savvy comes in. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain. VentSavvy.com, VENTSAVVY.com, and mention Rob for that free attic inspection. John's a Hoosier lifer. He'd love the opportunity to meet you. And so that's what it comes back to. Listen to these ads you're hearing on our show. Vent Savvy, John, the owner, Hoosier lifer. Gary Tedrow, our mortgage guy, Hoosier through and through. Joe, Gary's got 8 kids. 8 kids! What an incredible story. And then now our newest sponsor we've read so far, Lauren Wilson, Realtor Extraordinaire. All of these people are local Hoosiers who love what we do. They believe in what we do, and they believe in our mission to get information out to you. They believe in our mission of holding the politicians accountable, fighting for good government. They're local business owners. They're not mega corporations. So guys, please, and I know it's a broken record, but contact these people. I'm going to give you the contacts again later on in the program for all of these people. Just take the 5 minutes. Get with them. Say, hey, thanks for supporting Rob. It really means a lot. That's going to decide how they spend their advertising dollars going forward, which will affect our ability to keep doing the show. So please contact these advertisers. Let them know you heard about them on our show. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Spike Cohen from You Are the Power is going to join us. Talked with him over the weekend. And You Are the Power is really trying to help fight that Midstates Corridor in Southwest Indiana. And we'll talk a little bit about why he got involved, why an out-of-state organization got involved, how bad this project actually is, and how we can continue to fight for good public policy. Because whether you live in Southwest Indiana or not, it's your money that's being spent. We'll take a break. Be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in Central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheesem.
So the Midstates Corridor is an issue we talk about quite a bit here on the Rob Kendall Show, and it is not just a big deal in the state of Indiana, it is a big deal across the country, and it has gotten the attention of a guy who has been an advocate for a very long time for good government, good public policy, getting bad ideas out of government. Founder of You Are the Power, also the 2024 Libertarian nominee for Vice President, Spike Cohen. Spike, hello.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
So you live all the way in South Carolina. You're, like I said, nationally known to people. You were on their ballot in 2024 as Libertarian nominee for vice president. Tell us about how the Midstates Corridor, it's so bad it even got your attention a half a country away.
Yeah, it's that bad. So I'm the founder, as you said, I'm the founder and president of You Are the Power. We are a 50-state grassroots organization, and what we do is we protect people against abuse by local and state level government officials. We rally public support to get those officials to back off and stop abusing the people that they're harming, and then we try to push for legislative fixes to make sure that that abuse never happens again. So that relevant to this, we had a lot of people, a lot of Hoosiers come out and tell us about the Midstates Corridor project, especially the people in the Du Bois County?
Yeah, Du Bois County,
that are Du Bois County that are directly affected by this stuff. And we looked into it. This is prototypical of the kind of stuff that we fight. You've got a highway that basically no one's asking for. I think it's like 81% of residents have said that they're against it. And those that are in the affected path, basically it's 100% that are against it. They're having their land forcibly taken from them using eminent domain to build a nearly $4 billion highway that is parallel to two other highways that are already there. This makes no sense unless you happen to own like a logistics company that was right. This was right in your backyard, and you happen to be the governor of the state. Other than that, it doesn't really seem to make sense. And so, yeah, we found out about this and jumped right on it. And the response has been pretty incredible.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's a big deal. It's something we hit on all the time. I wrote an article in the Indy Star just last week about this. The thing that rubs so many people the wrong way is the governor of the state of Indiana, Mike Braun, as you said, Meyer Distributing, his company, they seemingly would make big money out of this. They are in documents, that the state has compiled in support of this, saying how it would help their company. I think that really rubs people the wrong way when you're talking about spending billions of dollars, and the governor's company would make out pretty well.
Spending billions of dollars and destroying a more than century-old German farming community in the process. Because if you look at how the projected path for this thing, the only way it's going to be able to be built, because again, the two other highways that it's parallel to and makes you wonder why they're even building this thing, and I forget their names, their numbers offhand, so I apologize, but it literally, those ones went around this long-standing farming community. This is going to affect something like 300 homeowners. It's going to tear up protected wilderness. It's going to tear up farmland, and it's to build a highway that no one wants. And it's, again, when I say prototypical of the kind of stuff that we do, this is that. This is, you have one or a handful of politicians that seek to gain from this. And so they're going to rob all of the taxpayers in Indiana to pay for this. They're going to steal the land and way of life of an entire community of people there in southern Indiana. And they're going to build a project that only really seems to benefit them, that no one else wants. And that's why we're fighting against it, and we're continuing to push hard against it.
I know you touched on this briefly. Spike Cohen, our guest, You Are the Power, his organization. You may know him best as 2024 Libertarian nominee for vice president. Tell us about You Are the Power, youarethepower.net.
Yeah, so coming out of the 2020 campaign, I realized that a much more effective way, especially if you're running in a party that's almost certain to lose, that when you're running that way, that what are we trying to accomplish here? And I thought, okay, well, I'm trying to accomplish getting our ideas out there, ultimately with the goal of helping people, right? Because if we believe that a smaller government, I like to say, Rand Paul likes to say small enough to fit within the confines of the Constitution. I say small enough to drown in a bathtub, potato. But you make a government small enough that it has a healthy fear of the people, and not what we have right now, where we have an unhealthy fear of the government. People are going to benefit from that. Well, if I'm running for office and I'm going to lose, then even if I get people to hear my ideas, I'm also reinforcing the idea that they'll never win. If instead I find something that is an achievable goal, so we find people that need help now, not some, a hypothetical future, but now they need our help, and I can apply our principles in a way that encourages people to join us on this thing they agree with us on, and then we win on it, then we can go and win on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Since 2023, You Are the Power has taken on nearly 1,000 causes. We've lost once.
That's amazing. And by the way, I realized as soon as I said that I'm one election cycle behind on myself. It was 2020.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. These elections all run together.
We lost that one too. So and that's the whole point, is that it's I have deep respect for my libertarian friends who are still running for office, and some of them run in local races where they can win, and some of them are running in offices that they know they're not going to win, but they're trying to spread the message. Godspeed, God bless. I'm glad they're doing it. I decided that I wanted to take another route. And that route is completely outside of electoral politics. I work with Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians, people that hate politics, people who don't know anything about politics. I work with whoever's standing in front of me to say, let's do the right thing together. We know what the right thing is here, so let's do it.
So all people like people just go to your website, youarethepower.net. They say, hey, we got the Midstates Corridor here, Spike. It's awful. And you guys mobilize. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so the way we typically do this is we put out content about whatever the cause is. So in this case, the Midstates Corridor project, and we explain what the problem is. And we give just enough information where people can find out more by going to a page on our site for this specific cause that gives a little bit more detail. And more to the point, it gives them an easy way to contact all the officials involved. They can press just with a few clicks, they can create pre-populated emails that have all the wording. They can change the wording, they can add their own wording, or they can leave it as is. They just put their name at the bottom and press send, and inside of in about the time it took me to explain it, or maybe even less, if they click fast, they just helped us to win on this and to contact these officials. It's been wildly successful, and I know what I'm saying sounds like something an 8-year-old would come up with, where you say, well, hey, why don't we just tell them not to do that? Again, we've lost once. We've reunited families. We've gotten legislation passed. We've killed legislation. We just killed legislation in Tennessee, or we actually had it so rewritten that it's not even the same legislation. We've been very wildly successful, and it's just taking people's attention on things that matter to them, that are affecting real people, not getting bogged down in partisanship or policy or the principles behind it. These are the people doing it. These are the people being harmed. These are the people harming them. Let's go tell them to stop doing that and to join us in doing the right thing.
You know, it's really amazing, Spike, and you touched on something that I found as a former elected official. One person can't fix it. It's going to take an army of people, and I think that's amazing what you guys are doing, helping people all over the country, mobilizing on an issue like this. Because if you're trying to beat the governor here, and we're all sort of working on the same team. You are the power, the stuff we're doing. Other publications have written about this. It's taking that many people just to beat the governor.
Yeah, I like to look at it slightly differently than beat the governor and get the governor on our side. The effect's the same, but I'm not trying to actually get into an argument or be adversarial with anyone. What we want to do is help people to realize this was the wrong course. Here's the right course. Let's do that. It worked in Tennessee. It worked in Florida. We just got legislation passed there. We got legislation passed in Georgia. And completely different cases. These were cases where way too many innocent parents were being wrongfully accused of abuse. We have fixed a lot of the things that were allowing that to happen. And when we came into both those situations, the entire state government was 100% against us. And we used a combination of public pressure and personal outreach to say, let's go do the right thing together. And in all three of those cases, they did.
How close do you think we are to stopping the Midstates Corridor? The General Assembly now has started to push back on it. We've seen a delay in the RFP. Do you feel that there is momentum to stop the Midstates Corridor in Southwest Indiana?
There's definitely momentum. I'm never comfortable saying how close I think, because it's really hard to define metric. I would just say that the things that I'm seeing are what I would like to see. It is well documented that the public is wildly against this. It is well documented and well known that, within the existing power structure, this is a wedge issue. The base of the electorate in Indiana does not like eminent domain, and they certainly don't like it for this. They don't like destroying historic rural farming communities. They don't like they don't even like how it's sold, that, we got to make way for progress. They don't even like hearing it that way. Like however it's presented, they don't like it that way. And for that matter, I'm hearing people don't like how the property taxes are going there too. So we're looking into that as well. But
hey, do we have a home for you, Spike? You have come to the right place for property tax reform.
So our thing is this. Maybe we just kill the Midstates Corridor project. Maybe we look at this holistically at it as an issue of property rights for Hoosiers across the state. Whatever it is, let's look at it. And one thing I'd like to make clear, because I know if I'm in South Carolina, if I had some guy in Indiana who's like, I care a lot about you South Carolinians, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but where did you come from? So this is led by Hoosiers. So our main lead there, and you've talked with them, is the folks at the PRA, the Property Rights Alliance. Right. We're just providing the social media support to let the rest of the public, including there in Indiana, know about it. But this is being led by Hoosiers.
I love what you're doing, man. I love that you took a run for elected office, 2020 Libertarian nominee for governor, and said it's got to be bigger than one office or one person. We can't do it alone. I love what you're doing, and thank you for supporting those people down in Southwest Indiana. They need it. YouAreThePower.net. Spike Cohen, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Your bathroom fan could be secretly costing you thousands of dollars in damages. Most people don't even know this until the damage is done. With over 18 years of bathroom remodeling experience, here are 3 signs your fan is failing you without spending a dime on inspections. Sign number 1 is if you have foggy mirrors after you shower. This shows that your fan isn't pulling out enough moisture, which creates the perfect environment for mold. If you have a properly functioning bathroom fan that is the right size for your space, you shouldn't see much fogginess on your bathroom mirror at all. Sign number 2 is if you have bubbling, cracking, or peeling paint in your bathroom. This means moisture is soaking into your walls, slowly breaking down drywall, and even causing the wood framing behind it to rot. Sign number 3 is if you have mold buildup on your fan, ceilings, or walls. This is terrible for your health, but also could wreck your bathroom, costing you a fortune. If you're noticing any of these signs, here's what you can do.
Call Vent Savvy today at 317-300-4434. That's 317-300-4434. And mention Rob for a free attic inspection. Welcome back, Rob Kendall Show. Thanks to Tim generously supporting our show over at robkendallshow.com. We just appreciate all of you guys that have just stepped up. Again, with the buttons right there, you head over to robkendallshow.com, which you should have bookmarked already. You get the live link there, all the podcasting platforms, any way you'd like to get the program, the articles from the transcripts, based on the transcripts of some of our favorite segments each day. And we got that support button there, where so many of you have generously supported the show. Tim, during the program, hitting that support button. We thank you guys so much for the ways you are being a part of this program. And look, if you're just a person who listens every day or watches every day, you're doing your part, right? We are so appreciative of the community. Everybody fits into the community in their own way. And that's why we try to do things like the read your favorite, the best YouTube chats of the day, because best comments, because we want you to feel like you're at home when you're here, that we're all in this together. And that hopefully encourages you to tell your friends, to tell your neighbors, tell them about us and grow this thing, because that's how we're going to do it. And we'll talk about here in just a second, a story that kind of goes to the heart of why Jason and I are doing what we're doing. But first, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends at Bramwell Mackay. Leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, BramwellMCKAY.com, BramwellMackay.com, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialist. All right, so one of the questions I get asked quite a bit over the past couple of months is, how did you decide to do this? Why did you decide to do this? And I was talking about this a little bit when I was doing the Facebook and Twitter lives in my bedroom. One of the things I think we have struggled with as liberty-minded people, conservatives, if you want to call us that. I just think we're just good government activists, really. I don't think we fit in a box here. I mean, I tend to be more conservative on most things, but I'm about good government, about policies that make sense. And so if you want to put that in a box, that's okay. I try to not do that. But one of the things I realized as an advocate for good policy, responsible government, accountable government, is I had not done a great job of meeting the people where they were at. And part of that is when you do something for so long, that just sort of becomes the institution you operate in. You do it every day. You do it well. You know, by the standard by which your industry is judged, you say, hey, we're doing great. And you kind of become complacent, for lack of a better term. I don't know if that's even the right word, but you just go, hey, this is great. I'm just going to roll with this. Rather than thinking to yourself, if my goal is better public policy, if my goal is better results for you, our listeners, now viewers, am I doing everything that I can, and am I doing it in the best way to get that result? And quite honestly, the answer became no. And it took me not being where I had always been to sit around and actually think about that. And look, when you're a radio lifer like me, you always just think of it, and old radio guys will tell you this, that you think of, hey, the radio's first, and then we're podcast, and then we're also on this thing called YouTube, right? That's just the way your mind works. And it doesn't make anybody right or wrong. It just means that's the way you've been taught. You've been ingrained to function. Where the reality is, and data bears this out, that while radio remains an important communication mechanism, every single day people are going to that new frontier known as the internet to consume content. And a lot of times they're going there first. And a lot of times they're going there more and more often. And we as good government advocates, I don't think have done a good job of meeting people where they're at. Going to them, sort of expecting them to come to us the way they've always came to us, rather than saying, no, especially younger people, they're consuming media in a different way, and we got to go find them. And so when I was given an opportunity, for lack of a better term, to start over with a clean slate, I began to think, like, what do I do? How do I do this? And to me, it was obvious that the mechanisms, the platforms we're on now is the future. It's how people are going to consume media in the future. And this doesn't in any way, and I would be a complete hypocrite to do this, in any way underscore the value of radio or the good it can still have. But if we're being honest with ourselves, the younger generation, and by younger, I'm talking people 60 and under, right? That's kind of the target, is more and more going to consuming information on the internet first, or in some cases it being their primary source of doing that. It's true outside of media. It's true in television. I don't have cable television anymore. I haven't had cable television for, 4 or 5 years now. I have apps. I have internet access. I have an antenna for local stations. I consume the local stations on if there's a sporting event or whatever. But by and large, I don't go the way I always went. So why would anything else be different? And this is really backed up by a story that made national news on Friday. And the thing we have to always be thinking about, and this is where Jason came in, because I couldn't do this without him, and he's been very, very helpful in this. I'm an old soul. I'm very stuck in my ways, and when I don't like change, you guys know this, we've been through this for years, but you got to start thinking about how the landscape in which you want to operate is changing, or you're gonna perish, right? From a perspective of influence, from a perspective of being able to consistently reach more people, different people. And so Jason has been a huge help in this, and kind of helping guide me on where do I want to go, what do I want to do, how do I want to do it. And this was just a horrible piece of information for terrestrial radio over the weekend. All sorts of news outlets covered it across the country. I chose WFYI here locally. CBS News announced on Friday that it is going to shut down its legendary radio news service after almost 100 years. I believe it was 99 years. I think they launched in September of 1927. And so basically what this means is if you listen to your local radio station, not I don't think here, but across the country, you'll have the top and the bottom of the hour news where, a lot of times you'll get a national newscast for a minute or two, and then your local news will follow that, or sometimes it's vice versa. And CBS has been one of the largest providers, I think they're still on 700 stations across the country, of national news to radio stations. Some of the biggest talk stations in the country have used CBS News to provide their national news. And CBS announced on Friday that as of May 22nd, it is going to cease its national radio news operation. Something that's been around since 1927. I believe it's on 700 radio stations across the country. And CBS News took a look at the lay of the radio landscape in this country, look at the lay of how things were going, where it's going, how people are consuming media, and just simply said, we financially can't make this work anymore. Guys, this is not your county radio station. This is CBS. And CBS is not going to lie to themselves anymore about where the people are that they need to reach. As a radio lifer, this hurts me because I want radio to do well. I want radio to thrive. I want radio to succeed. Radio was my first love as a boy, certainly from any sort of professional aspirations. But the reality is hitting us right in the face. Over and over and over again, the people are leaving that medium and coming to these different places online to get their information. Barry Weiss, I believe she is the editor-in-chief of CBS News, which oversees CBS's radio division, the news radio division, said, quote, I want you to know we did everything we could before I joined the company to try and find a viable solution to sustain radio operation. Quote, we just could not find a way to make that possible. It's the economic reality of the times. And so I'm saying me, Jason, our community here, I think we're doing the right thing. If the goal is good public policy, if the goal is influencing lawmakers, influencing decision makers, if the goal is spreading the word, we're doing the right thing because this is the future. Look at how people have responded. 33,000 plus views in less than 3 weeks. That doesn't even include the audio-only platforms, which are gangbusters as well. Almost 2,000 subscribers. People are hungry for news. They're hungry for information. They're hungry for commentary. They're hungry for people like what Jason and I do here who cut through the BS, who we don't have any team. We don't have any side. You are our team. You are our side. But when it comes to the politicians, no. This is why I've always been able to take positions that sometimes will make conservatives love me. Sometimes they hate me. Look at my position on redistricting. There's a lot of people who got really pissed off about that. It's like, but the right position is not to do this. It's not good public policy. So I can take that position. That's why you guys are supporting us. People like Tim who hit that support button over at robkendallshow.com. Because I'm going to be honest with you. And so if we can, it also, and I think it'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. We have a lot of freedom here now. We can pick the topics we want to pick. If I want to spend 20 minutes on talking about the Bears Stadium or talking about local income tax, if I think it's important to you, I'm going to do that. That's what we're doing here. We have freedom on the internet. And again, it's not to in any way underscore radio or the contributions it can have. And I'm not saying I'll never be back on the radio ever again. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying we have to be honest brokers if we're talking about how do we do the best good in terms of getting the word out, putting a product out for you guys. And I feel pretty blessed that we're here in the work we're doing now because I think that's where everything's sort of going. And, it's my fault. My wife told me for years, she said, you need to have an internet presence for what you do. No, it'll be fine. Jason told me for years, you need to have an internet presence with what you're doing. No. This is what I'm doing is fine. The reality is that this is where it's going, and this is where the battle of ideas is going to be going forward, or at least it's going to be a big part of it. And I'm glad we're now a part of that conversation, though I hate that CBS News Radio is going away because they've done, and I worked at multiple places over the years that have used CBS News Radio, and it's a great service, and I hate that. Hey, let me tell you about our new sponsor, Lauren Wilson. One of the biggest complaints people have with real estate is never actually talking to their agent. That's why we love Lauren Wilson. She handles her clients directly. Lauren Wilson has spent her life as a part of Central Indiana and the Central Indiana community and is a military veteran. With Lauren Wilson, you get her expertise and a direct line to her with a great support team behind the scenes making sure everything is seamless. It's a higher level of service for the Indy area. Whether you're upgrading for a growing family or downsizing for retirement, Lauren provides a hands-on experience that takes the stress out of the process. She's all about clear communication and deep local roots. Give Lauren Wilson a call for your next move. Lauren Wilson with At Properties, 317-590-2990. That's 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. All right. There's some new polling out on Trump that is very interesting to me. By the way, our guy, the oil guy, Bill Herrick, look, I'm not an oil expert. I'm not a gas expert. Bill sent me a message this morning. He said, tell your audience they should probably fill up on gas if they haven't. He thinks that gas is about to go up again. Don't know. Bill's words. I said, hey, I'll pass it along. We consider it community service. The oil guy, friend of the show, Bill Herrick, asked me to pass that along to you. I said I will do that. He believes gas is about to go up again. We will see if it does. Don't know. Anyway, so there's a new poll out on Trump. And it is part of that flip book that we talked about. When you look at polling, you can never look at one individual poll and say, oh, what does this tell me? You have to look at polling as a snapshot of a moment in time. You put many polls together, you flip the flip book, you get results. And in the case of Trump, we now have a year's worth of flip books that show he has steadily gone in the wrong direction. So a new poll out from American Research Group. They're a known polling firm. And look, everybody, well, the polling's biased. The polling says, well, when all the polling is sort of saying the same thing from all the groups across the spectrum, you kind of get the same picture. And American Research Group is a known quantity. According to them, 34% of Americans say they approve of the way Donald Trump is handling his job as president. That is compared to 63% who say they disapprove. In February, the number was 36% approve, 62% disapproved. So you have seen from one month to the next, Trump moving in the wrong direction. If you track back as a point of reference, and I think this is good, and this is what you have to do with the polling. 1 year ago, same polling group, Trump would have been 2 months into his first year as president for his second term. Easy enough for me to say. His first year as president for his second term. Trump was at 45% approve compared to 51% who disapprove 1 year ago. And part of that, so you have seen, and if you look at the chart, and I don't have time to go into it here, but he started at 45. I mean, that was basically his breakout, was 45-51. He was underwater from the beginning. And if you look at this thing like a flip book, you see, because they listed poll month by month by month, you see month by month by month, Trump has moved in the wrong direction. There's very little instance over the past year where he has elevated himself from one month to the next. And it goes to a couple of things. Number one, it's Trump's inability to address the key issue that elected him, which is affordability, cost of living. None of the other stuff matters if people don't believe they can afford food or their rent or their mortgage or clothes on their kids' back. Or a bigger part of it is hope and optimism. I noticed I didn't use hope and change there. But a bigger part of it is hope and optimism, which, hey, even if things aren't better in the moment, I perceive that if I'm working hard, I'm going to elevate myself. I'm going to get in a better buying position. I'm going to have more buying power. Just stay the course. Things are getting better. You know, it's Reagan in 84. It's morning again in America. Hey, things weren't exactly great in 1984, but the people believed that things were getting better compared to Reagan's first term, and they were going to be much better in the future, which they were. That isn't happening here. There's nothing the government is doing that you say, okay, help is around the corner for getting inflation under control. Things keep seemingly getting worse, like now gas prices are much higher. And so inside of this poll, by the way, the interesting thing about this poll, they went back and they tracked, because American Research Group, as I said, been around a long time. How was Trump doing in his first term, March of his second year? So that would have been March of 2018. And he was at 39% of the way people approved of his job as president to 56% disapprove. So he was even higher. He was better off, not by much, but better off. Well, actually, he was about 5 points better in his first term, second year than he is now, which comes back to the major mistake I think that Trump and the Trump orbit has made both times, which is Trump largely got elected. Look, there is no doubt there's a 30% of the American population who loves Donald Trump. They're the most hardcore Donald Trump fans. And they would run through a brick wall for the guy, and they believe everything he says is golden, and I'm not disputing those people are out there. It's about a third of the country. But the majority of people who voted for Trump both times, and the polling is bearing this out both times, and the fact that Trump didn't get reelected sort of bore this out to some extent. Trump was the beneficiary of running against horrible options on the Democrat side. You could make a compelling case that Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton were the two worst major party candidates to ever seek the nomination or to ever get their party's nomination. A lot of people, especially the deciding votes in the swing states, voted for Trump not because they loved Trump, but rather because they hated the other choice. I think that's why Biden, I mean, they hit him in his basement. There was a totally media collaboration to make the guy look far more confident than he was. But I think people saw Biden as a more palatable option. And I think one of the major problems Trump has had, one of the major issues Trump has had, is he's never sort of recognized, hey, I've been the president twice, which is an incredible accomplishment. It's an incredible feat to be elected president of the United States twice. But he hasn't been able to coalition build, or has not coalition build, because I don't think he fully processes. A lot of people didn't vote for me because they like me. They voted for me because they really didn't want the opposition. Look, I'll be candid with you. This last time with Trump, that was why I voted for Trump. It's not a great way to vote. It's not a happy way to vote. I'd been through the first Trump presidency. I saw what he did during COVID. I was outraged. I was outraged at how Trump printed all that money during COVID. I was outraged at how Trump bribed the states to shut down during COVID. I was outraged about how Trump supported so many of these issues that put us in financial peril during COVID. And I think who you are in crisis says a lot about you. But I looked at the opposition, the other party, and with the third party not giving me anything in terms of viability to support, I said, what are my options? It had to be Trump. And I'm disappointed in how Trump has not handled the major issue that elected him president, which is getting federal spending under control, inflation under control, and the Republicans have just kept making it worse. I mean, the first 5 months of the year, Nikki Haley put that out? The 5 months of the fiscal year, we've run another $1 trillion deficit. That's more than $2 trillion a year. So Trump's approval rating is not going to improve until he succeeds at the core issue that elected him, which is the cost of everything. The cost of everything is going to drive everything going forward. And I want Trump to succeed. 63% of the people said they disapproved of the way Trump is handling his job as president. 79%, and this is a key, 79% of the people said they expect the national economy will be worse a year from now. So much of succeeding in politics is the optimism by which you give people. How you make people feel about themselves, how you make people feel about their current condition. Hey, it may be bad now, but help is right around the corner. What is Trump selling as optimism for our economy? Just walking out going, man, the stock market, it's on fire. Unless you cash out that day, that means nothing to you. It doesn't. And by and large, it doesn't really mean that much to average people anyway, because they're not able to get in the stock market. Only 19% say they think the economy will be better a year from now. Trump's got to figure out a way to change the mindset of Americans. By the way, in February 2025, 43% said they approved the way Trump was handling, and 46% said they expected the national economy to be better in a year. So it's 46% a year ago. It's 19% now. That means 27% that were in Trump's camp on the economy, they've left. That's not manipulating a poll. That's not fake news. That's how people are feeling. Trump gets distracted in all these other things, and that's why I don't understand the invasion of Iran. I don't understand that. Because they're not selling how it's going to make anybody's life better. Iran's always been there. I get that there is a national security component to it. I don't dispute it. Iran is one of the world's largest sponsors of terror, state sponsors of terror. But there was no sales pitch with this. And when you're already losing people left and right because of not delivering on affordability, cost of living, inflation, and then you do something that makes it worse, that's a very, very, very bad strategy. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, everybody's favorite segment. Producer Jason will be here with us to read his favorite YouTube comments of the day. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, a realtor with App Properties. Born and raised right here in central Indiana and a Hoosier through and through. Selling your home is a massive undertaking, and I completely understand what that is. That's why when you work with me, we put a great plan together to make sure that when your home comes to the market, it is in the best light possible. Again, I'm Lauren Wilson, 317-590-2290. 317-590-2290. Let's put a plan together and get your home sold.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Are you a Clay County resident who is ready to be part of creating a brighter future for our citizens? Doug Cobb is running for county commissioner and will bring fresh perspective to the table. A local farm and business owner, he has skin in the game of our county's success. He knows that a great team can accomplish so much more than any one of us alone and is ready to create a brighter future for Clay County together. The committee to elect Doug Cobb approves this ad. Paid for by Linda Cheatham.
Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Kendall Show. Couple of reminders. If you haven't, we're closing in on 2,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button over on YouTube if you haven't done that yet. Tell your friends to do that for us. Hit that thumbs up, that little thumbs up there. All you people watching, hit that little thumbs up. And, of course, share the feed, and that's true whether you're listening to us on the Apple, the Spotify, watching us on YouTube. All of those things you can do to help us out. Don't forget as well, robkendallshow.com. robkendallshow.com. We've got the live link there, all the podcasting links, articles off the transcripts of the show, the support button, all found robkendallshow.com. And you can play along with me on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall, at Rob M. Kendall. Okay, now that the housekeeping measures are taken care of, time for everybody's favorite segment. Producer Jason joins us now to read the YouTube comments. And boy, we have a great local business now supporting your YouTube comments segment.
The chat is sponsored, so it's locked in here to stay. Hopefully, it doesn't look like my volume's up very loud there because I'm not plugged in right.
Oh, that's awesome. Jason's going to get his volume plugged in. Yes, we do have a fabulous new sponsor supporting us, Black Sheep Plumbing. These guys are great. Would you like to check that again?
I think I'm here now. There we go. That's I need a producer is what I need.
You need a producer for the producer.
I need a producer for the producer. Yes,
all right. Tell us about Black Sheep Plumbing, our brand new fabulous sponsor for the YouTube chat segment.
Okay, well let's get it. They've put me with all these chores to do now. So, but this is a good one because again, a sponsor. If you didn't hear me earlier, there I am right there for the chat now on a daily basis. Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to the plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. That's right. Call John. 765-315-7558. That's 765-315-7558. You can also find that number on the website. Go check that out, robkendall.com. You can get that number on there as well.
Rob Kendall Show.
What did I say? RobKendallShow.com. There we go.
There is a RobKendall.com. That is not me.
Oh, it's not you?
That guy stole our website
Rob
years
Kendall?
in advance of us needing that website.
Wow. All right, so let's get on with the chat, because unless there's something else you wanted to prelude with.
John,
hopefully.
Black Sheep Plumbing, that's a service people always need. John's a Hoosier through and through, and I've got to meet him last week, so thanks to John and Black Sheep Plumbing supporting the podcast. Go ahead.
All right, fantastic. Let's get to it, starting chronologically from when the show started here. Rex A. Powers, a new name in the chat. Educate before you legislate. A concept that many of our Indiana elected reps simply do not understand, and it's always important to remember we can't fix stupid.
Yes, and of course that was our opening segment, was talking about this now crisis mode, basically, that our legislators are in, because when they passed the property tax bill, they started tinkering around with the local income tax, designed to allow cities and towns to raise your income tax. However, these ding-dongs, because they didn't think it through, a lot of these counties are already above the max rate. So it's going to hurt the revenue coming into them. And so now every county's different. And they're like, they pushed it back all the way to 2029. And now they're like, well, we need to study this some more. Hey, cities, towns, and counties, can you tell us what to do? Because we sure as hell don't know.
All right. And Vic Ferrari, when he says Linda Cheatham, it gets me every time.
Linda Cheatham, a very respected member of the legal community in the state of Indiana, former appeals court judge, known to a lot of people. If you know about Indiana politics and government, she's a known name.
All right, Maddox 2323, still adjusting my volume here. Producer Jason pushing the buttons and doing the things. Not always the right things, but and again, you understand, this is not our studio. Every morning, practically, when I come in, I have to set everything up. The computer, the cameras, the mics, got to plug them all in, and obviously forgot one today. But and then when we're done, got to rip it all apart again, and then come back the next day, do it all over. So this has been the routine for the last 3 weeks.
Jason works very hard.
It's like an aerobics workout.
It is, and hopefully we'll be in our studio starting next week, or at least have the key to it. We may be here for a little bit longer, but he does a phenomenal job, and we do have to be out a little bit early today. Not a whole lot early, but our landlord politely asked us for one time only. He had some stuff he needs to do. Could we get out of here a little early? Which means we got to get it down fast.
And we're running out of time, so let's get back to it. The old man 68. I concur with Doug because, well, one of the comments that Doug had made earlier, because my family farm in Davies County is in the same situation because of the Midstates Corridor.
So it's Spike Cohen from You Are the Power. Spike Cohen, a national figure, his youarethepower.net has engaged in trying to help stop the Midstates Corridor. I mean, that's so embarrassing for our state that we put policy out that's so bad that it's made it all the way to some national group in South Carolina. I mean, like, how embarrassing. And the fact that our governor, his family business is going to be a big beneficiary out of it. I mean, it's so embarrassing.
Crazy. All right, MLM Warriors talking about the Cubs, Bears, and the Chicago sports teams.
Yeah.
Cubs are not going anywhere. Vic Ferrari, Paul M. Fouts. Wrigley is the historical chapel. You're right, Rob. The Cubs, not Wrigley. The Cubs not at Wrigley are not the Cubs.
So for those of you who missed earlier on in the program, a member of the media made some idiotic statement about basically how the Bears should come to Indiana and the Blackhawks and the Cubs and the Bulls. And I was reading this, and it's just like, tell me you know nothing about sports, but try to sound like you know something about sports. First of all, the Bears are coming to Indiana based on giveaways, right? So how conservative is that? Yeah, we want the Bears here. Yeah, how conservative is that? How responsible government is that? Oh, it's great the Bears are coming. Yeah, but they're taking like $2 billion of public money. No, it's great that the Bears are coming. All these tax increases. But then when you take something like the Cubs, where the stadium itself is the fabric of the team. Since, 1914, the Cubs have played in Wrigley Field. The ownership has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to keep that ballpark viable in the modern era. They've bought a huge amount of property around Wrigley Field to create a village. Like, if you removed the Cubs from Wrigley Field, you would cut off at least half the fan base. And I just was like, man, some people in our media, they want to sound like they know what they're talking about, and they just say some just ridiculous things. The Bears are not exactly the same because they played in Wrigley Field and then Soldier Field, but the Bears are a fabric of the Chicagoland area. There's an identity with that, and you would lose that identity if you hopped across the border to another state.
Steve Green agrees. How much have we already spent in time and resources on this Bears thing? Bet it's over 6 figures. Steve also says if the Bears stay in Illinois, they should reimburse Indiana taxpayers. But that would be the politicians' fault, not the Bears' fault. They're getting over on the Indiana politicians.
And I know a broken record on this, but think how fast they moved on this Bears stadium. All these issues that are crushing you, they can't even figure out how to let you drive on a frickin' road without raising your taxes. $6.5 billion proposed tax increase for 70. Look how fast they moved on the Bears stadium. Billions of dollars to go to the Bears. This isn't they can't do it. It's they don't want to do it. And I think that's what's most infuriating.
MLM Warriors. Like, share, and subscribe. MLM Warriors. Primary election day is 43 days. 43 days. I was asked to make sure 10 people know this information.
Okay, he's done his part.
I think that more than 10 people have heard you.
Yes.
MLM Warriors. Drew. The Republican Party loves to use lawfare to keep challengers off the primary ballot. I call the Republican primary Rhino Shield.
Okay, so this is fascinating, and we may get into this later this week. There is a guy who's trying to run for state rep in Hendricks County, and he claims he has given, and I had somebody look this up, and I think it checks out, tens of thousands of dollars to Republicans and Republican causes. But they're trying to kick him off the ballot. He claims because they said he gave to a Democrat. So they took all this money from this guy, but because he's challenging an incumbent, they are trying to get him kicked off of the ballot. So they'll take his money, give us your money. Oh, but you gave to one Democrat and we like the incumbent. We don't want him being challenged, so you're out. This should tell you who these people are.
MLM Warrior, nice sweatshirt. Thank you very much.
What's it say? Great Lakes?
I don't know. I just threw it on. It was
the
cold
Great Lakes
this morning, and I couldn't. I almost wore my blue shirt, my blue button shirt,
yep.
but mine wasn't ironed and pressed as nice as yours, just straight out of the dryer. Right. So fortunately, I didn't wear that. Kevin Branham, Jason needs a raise.
Yes.
I find no fault with any of these comments.
That's why you should head over to robkendallshow.com. Click that support button.
All right, continuing on with our chat, sponsored by Black Sheep Plumbing today. See, I threw that in there, Rob.
There you go. What a trained professional.
There we go. Let's see. Kevin Branham again. You're doing a great job getting new sponsors, Rob.
Yes,
what a perfect timing for that. Vic Ferrari, Vent Savvy, y'all. Don't settle for any imposter.
That's right. We love Vent Savvy. Those guys are great.
All right. Back to Spike Cohen. Drew says Spike owes me a game of pinball. Kevin Branham says, well, you're doing a great job, Rob. MLM Warriors, great segment. A lot of people liked that segment with Spike.
And I know I got the year he was the Libertarian nominee for vice president wrong. Look, here's what happened, okay? And, we're open book here. So Spike lives in South Carolina. Obviously, we couldn't have him come into our studio.
Right.
He's a busy guy. He's running this national network. He said, hey, I can do the thing on Saturday. Well, my wife was doing a bunch of stuff, so I had Livy. So I had to take Livy over to the old man's house, had to sprint back, do the thing, record. We hadn't done the Zoom recording yet. I've done it before, but not with this. Had to try to get some things right. The lighting needs to improve. That's on me.
Yeah, we were going to get to that. That it was not recorded in the studio with producer Jason.
So it's all work in progress. So I recorded it. I'm trying to do 3 different things at once and also try to do the interview.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's so I apologize to him afterwards. He goes, oh, man, it's no big deal. As he said during there, he goes, we lost that race too. So anyway, yes, I was aware as I was doing it. But when you're trying to do 9 things at once, including run the board, for lack of a better term, it's
you just needed a little light on you. We discussed that. Yeah. That's all. Next time you put a little light.
But I thought it sounded
or we do it
good.
here might be better.
It sounded good.
But that's the thing. It sounded good. And a lot of people, our statistics show a majority of people watch and listen on their phones anyway. So I imagine a majority of that's audio.
This will now, it's everything it's all work in progress.
Right.
This is our first venture into it. Now we know we can do it. We'll start being able to get different guests on since now we can do that.
But we're having fun doing it.
That's right.
I mean, 18 hours a day, literally. Yesterday on a Sunday.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
Yeah.
But you can't do something like this unless you're really enjoying it. And you get comments like Kevin Branham. Kevin's been all over it today.
Yeah, he's an
about 45 minutes until Jason's segment. MLM Warriors producer Jason's segment is the best segment. I mean, can't make this stuff
Is
up.
that all the rest is going to be? Is just people saying how great you are?
Let's see. We've got a couple. Well, I guess if we take all those out, there's not much left other than Kevin Branham. Again, great interview, Rob.
You're great.
We should just have a one-on-one with Kevin here.
We should.
And MLM Warriors, a nice pre-recorded segment. Producer Jason, I had nothing to do with that pre-recorded segment, as you just heard. Bowden JM.
Who?
BOWDENJM.
Okay.
Threw a lot of consonants in there.
That's a great thing about the chat, though. You don't have to use your real name.
No, you don't.
And you just got to be a subscriber. That's it.
Right. Thanks. Glad to hear Zoomed in local issues. Have missed that for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Did you used to do Zooms?
Like I ever did a Zoom.
Okay, well, here it is.
But here it is. It's here now.
Right. Bartlett Farms. Don't stop with the Midstates Corridor. Stop all quasi-governmental development authorities that don't answer to the people.
Yeah.
Finally, Don B. Is this finally? Oh, I got more here, but Don B. Closing in on 2,000 subscribers.
All right.
For pointing that out. I guess we could go ahead and there's so many more, but that's you guys just fantastic. Thanks for the comments and we could sit here for a half hour and go through these and if you some entertainment, these stay on all the time. So even after the show, you can go back and just read the comments, and it's very enlightening and very entertaining.
All right, thanks to Black Sheep Plumbing, fabulous sponsor of that segment, and sponsoring the rest of the show. I want to tell you about our friends at Bramwell Mackay. They've been with us from the beginning, huge fans of our program, and they've loved us before we had a Rob Kendall Show. Masonry color mismatch, previous repair catching your eye, not happy with the brick color on your home and ready for a total makeover. Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, want to build something new? Bramwell Mackay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell Mackay, BRAMWELLMCKAY.com. Beauty built to endure. All right. Wanted to touch on this article, opinion piece, really. It came from Brian Howie. For those of you who don't know, Brian Howie has been around forever. He ran Howie Politics forever, and he's a known figure. I think Howie Politics ended up becoming a part of something else, but he still writes regular columns, pieces that are seen and heard across the state of Indiana. And I pulled this from WTHR, and Brian Howie was writing about Bo Bai and how Bo Bai, the presumed Democrat nominee for Secretary of State, son of Evan Bai, the former governor and senator, grandson of Birch Bai, the former senator, how he's handling this race for Secretary of State, which has so many moving parts. Obviously, will Diego Morales be the Republican nominee? Well, they say they've had enough of him. Will it be David Shelton? How does that change sort of the approach if Shelton not nearly as controversial a figure as Morales? And now Greg Ballard, presumably being in the race as an independent candidate, provided he can get the 37,000 verified signatures. And Howie asked Bai about Ballard, and I want to read you his quote. Quote, he's a fellow Marine, Bai told me Monday. I respect his service to our country and to the city of Indianapolis, but we're building the only campaign that can beat Diego Morales. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In November, that can put an end to, wait for it, the blatant corruption we've seen consume the Secretary of State's office. Let me read you that again. We're building the only campaign that can beat Diego Morales in November, and this is the key, can put an end to the blatant corruption we've seen consume the Secretary of State's office. He finally said it. It's really the first sort of mainstream person I have heard, and it's the candidate himself saying it, say out loud what a lot of people believe, which is Diego Morales is a very unethical, corrupt person. And for some reason, the Republican Party continues to stand behind Diego Morales. For some reason, everybody knows what Diego is. I mean, look at this most recent thing, where for some bizarre reason, he paid for hundreds of thousands of unused vehicle history reports. The state wasted like $320,000 public money wasted on unused. It wasn't like it was a bad expense. It was to nothing. He just gave it away to these unused vehicle history reports. And Nikki Kelly was with us last week and said it's still going. He's still continuing with this. It's one thing after another. Obviously, the big one, the 10-day trip to India, a foreign country. He won't tell you who paid for the trip. Then he bizarrely comes out and starts shouting, I pay. Everybody always gets a chuckle out of that. I know producer Jason does. I pay for India. I pay. You know, he's shouting at people about the fake WIBC and the fake Indy Star at what was a vehicle advisory board meeting or whatever that meeting he was at where people were trying to eat their chicken. You know, he's hiring family member, giving him this sweetheart job and the sweetheart salary. The no-bid contracts to people who donate to his campaign. I mean, but you come back to the India thing. He's in India with this guy who has a contract with his office where they won't tell you what he does. And then the guy that he has the contract with is on Facebook bragging about how he's selling visa access while he's in India. Supposedly being there with Diego Morales, who he has a contract with that office. And they won't tell you who paid for it. And he blows off his budget hearing to go. Like, this is not normal behavior. This is not okay behavior. And yet so many Republicans continue to stand behind the guy. So many Republicans won't acknowledge the obvious, how rotten Diego Morales is. And it appears many of them are prepared to potentially lose the office. Like, so kudos to Bo Bai. And look, Bo Bai's not been a real aggressive guy so far. I think he's been a little soft for me thus far, but it appears maybe he's getting his sea legs under him. Because that is what needs to come out if indeed Diego Morales is the nominee by the Republicans. If they're going to make that stupid choice, then they should win a stupid prize. The Republicans have every opportunity to rectify this situation by nominating a highly competent, non-controversial figure in David Shelton. He's a Knox County clerk. He knows the job. He can go in and do the job. But it appears a bunch of Republicans don't want this. They pose for photos with this guy. You ask them to ask him who paid for India. They chuckle about it like it's some sort of joke. So good for Bo Bai. Hopefully Greg Ballard will join him in that. Hopefully David Shelton will grow a pair. That's one of the disappointing things about Shelton is he will not go at Morales. Shelton's boring. I hate that because Shelton would be really good at the job, but he's really boring and uninspiring. If David Shelton's going to win at that convention, he's got to frame publicly to the public, to those delegates, who Diego Morales is. The podcaster guy shouldn't be doing it more than the guys running against him. So good for Bo Bai. Good for Bo Bai. Hopefully that's more of that. Because he seems like a nice enough guy. Anybody, an aged orange peel would be better than Diego. So hopefully he'll get it together. Like I said, we got to get out of here just a little bit early today. One-time only thing. We want to always help our landlord wherever we can. They've been very kind to us. So want to wrap up here. Once again, reminding you guys, if you missed any part of the show today, it's podcast immediately afterwards on the YouTube for you guys to consume. We'll get it up on the Apple, the Spotify, all the places. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on that number 2,000. Hit the share button, share the feed, let people know we're here. Hit that thumbs up. That's what we need from you guys. And again, we will see you guys over robkendallshow.com. We'll have some of our favorite articles from our favorite transcripts going up later today. We got the support button there. Like I said, just had to get out of here a little bit early to help out our landlord. But we got to all the things we needed to get to today. We got to all the major stories because we are highly trained professionals. That's what we do here. So thank you to you guys. We will see you guys right back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. until noon tomorrow, 10 a.m. until noon. You've been watching The Rob Kendall Show.